With San Francisco wrapping up their second preseason game against the Las Vegas Raiders, arguably the most impressive player on the field was the rookie linebacker Nickolas Martin out of Oklahoma State. San Francisco's third-round pick was all over the field making plays in a similar way GREENLAW used to for the team, and even had a sack on the day. Maybe most importantly for San Francisco's rookie though, he showed vast improvement from his first outing against the Denver Broncos. So in this video, I want to dive a lot more deeply into the player that is Nickolas Martin by going over his most recent Raiders film and his career up to this point so we can fully understand the player he is. Initially starting out for the 5'11", 220-pound linebacker, I wanted to look at his ability to blitz the quarterback because that's something he really excelled at during his Oklahoma State days, and Robert Saleh truly understands how to unlock the most out of a player. Here on this play, for instance, rather than just rushing Martin straight up towards the quarterback, Saleh does a nice job of faking the blitz with Tatum Bethune, which allows him to line up both of his defensive tackles on the left side of this offensive line. And right here, you can see how they're slanting different directions, which allows Martin to loop over the top on the splits. And then I love Martin's hand usage on this play. He comes through hard on this rip move and then does a great job of bringing down the quarterback for a loss of 6 on the play. If Martin continues this level of play and development we've seen from his first to second preseason game, San Francisco and Robert Saleh may very have well found their next linebacker of the future, a player similar to GREENLAW. Outside of his ability to blitz, Martin also showed vast improvements in his coverage abilities from his first Broncos game. On this play, for example, Saleh once again is sending the blitz, but this time with Chase Lucas, meaning that Martin is responsible for the flats, and seeing 81 break out hard here, he does a great job of identifying it, shoots without hesitation, and makes an excellent open field tackle for no gain on the play. Perhaps my favorite coverage play of Martin's though came later in the game when he was manned up against the Raiders tight end running a seam pattern, and while initially beat, I loved Martin's ability to respond on this play and break up the pass. Here for instance, you can see how he's quickly able to identify where the ball is placed and then comes over the top and punches this out. These type of plays by Martin are extremely intriguing for Robert Saleh's defense because it truly gives him a ton of flexibility. If you have a couple of linebackers that can go out and man up basically against any tight end in D. Winters, Fred Warner, and now potentially Martin, you can get a lot more creative with your blitzes, sending nickel cornerbacks, safeties, and maybe your outside cornerbacks in Renardo Green and Deommodore Lenoir. To really illustrate this point, on this play, Saleh is faking the blitz with Martin lined up in man coverage across from one of the fastest backs in the league in Raheem Mostert, and he does an excellent job in my opinion of looping over the top and making this open field tackle. If he doesn't make this here, he could have potentially gone for a touchdown. Another thing I really liked about Martin's pass coverage throughout this game is how he read the quarterback's size and jumped routes. Here on this play, for instance, he does a nice job of reading this quarterback, reading to the flat, so he jumps it, takes away that route, so the quarterback has to go elsewhere. Martin also did an excellent job of playing sideline to sideline throughout this game. Here, for instance, responsible for the flat, he does a great job of reading this tight end breaking out there, and then he delivers a brutal blow, which I think wears on the player as the game goes. In a similar way on this play, Martin is able to show off his sideline to sideline ability at quickly identifying the quarterback, targeting this running back in the flat, and once he gets there, he's not only able to make the open field tackle, he's setting the tone on the defensive side of the ball like GREENLAW used to, and letting this back know if you do want to go out and catch in the flat, these are the consequences. As impressive as Martin is in his pass coverage though, arguably he's better as a run defender, and that's why San Francisco drafted him in the 3rd round. To really illustrate this point, in this most recent Broncos game, here on this play, he's coming on the blitz on the back side of this running play, and first, I love how he makes sure this quarterback doesn't roll out potentially on a naked boot, and once he does identify it to run, he does a nice job bringing down this back once again. Now with Martin playing a more traditional middle linebacker role on this play, he does a nice job of scraping with his play, and with his back cutting it back hard, so does Martin, and once again, look at these hits he's able to deliver. Now jumping back to Martin on the line of scrimmage, on this play, I really want to pay attention to how he does a nice job of setting the edge. With his back trying to jump outside on him, he does a nice job of disengaging with his tight end, and then this forces the back to have to cut it towards San Francisco's teeth of their defense. So even though Martin didn't receive a stat on this play, he's a big reason why it didn't go for more. Maybe the best part about Martin though, I think the best is yet to come, because like we saw from his first to second preseason game, he's just continually improved, and there's several plays where he's maybe just a half a second away from making a massive play in the backfield, and honestly, I really can't wait to see his development going forward. Speaking of his development, he isn't a perfect player as he is a rookie, with probably his biggest weakness being his aggression. Sometimes his aggression can lead to missed tackles, as well as massive plays for the offense. Overall though, when I'm looking at Nick Martin's film, I see a linebacker with the potential to be San Francisco's next Dre Greenlaw, especially with the coaching of Robert Saleh, and we've already seen vast improvements from one week to the next. But to truly understand the player that Nick Martin is, I did want to briefly break down his career up to this point, as well as what we can expect for him heading into this upcoming season. Initially, when we were first introduced to Nick Martin, he was playing his football at Pleasant Grove High School. And while he played linebacker there, he also played running back. And according to 24/7 Sports, as a running back, he was a 4-star recruit and had offers from Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Houston, Kansas, and Kansas State, with Martin ultimately deciding to enroll at Oklahoma State. As a freshman for Oklahoma State in 2021, he transferred over to linebacker full-time and played in 3 games as a reserve and registered 1 tackle. In 2022, he played in all 13 games as a reserve and on special teams and had 15 tackles. Headed into 2023 though, everything changed as he was named the starting linebacker, and he was the first team All Big 12 conference selection that year and ranked 7th in the FBS with 140 tackles. And like you could see on his film, he routinely found his way into the backfield. He led his team with 16 tackles for loss, as well as tying for the team lead with 6 sacks. He was also a team captain this year, started in 14 games, and had 2 interceptions. He balled out. Unsurprisingly, after this season, many viewed him as a potential day 1 pick if he was able to replicate this level of success in 2024. But he wasn't able to, mainly due to injuries. But once again, when he was out there, he was phenomenal. He started in 5 games, had a whopping 47 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 passes broken up, and a forced fumble. After this redshirt junior campaign, Martin decided to enter the 2023 NFL Draft, and at the Combine, he came in at 5'11.5", weighing 221 pounds, and also showed off pretty nice athleticism, running his 40-yard dash in 4.53 seconds, his 10-yard split in 1.54 seconds. He had a 38 vert, a 10-foot and 3-inch broad jump, and put up the bench press 26 times. But despite this nice athleticism and production when he was on the field, he slid to the 3rd round with pick 11, where San Francisco selected him because of his injury history. Overall though, still when I'm looking at Nick Martin as a player, I see someone that's going to have a lot of success with Robert Saleh. This is the same coach who was able to find Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. And with Nick Martin, I think he found another gem in the rough. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on Nick Martin, a player who's really stood out so far with San Francisco this offseason, and I'd like to hear your thoughts about him as a player down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.